What's up, guys? It's UB Universe, and since I thought I still had time before I head off to New Orleans for the weekend, I thought I might as well get this out of the way so I can upload it next week. So, because I really love doing these, and I really want to have a consistent schedule of getting them out every single week. Anyway, I'm not gonna let Christmas and other stuff stop me from doing that. And since I have 17 pages left in Sketchbook 1, I thought I might as well get them all done so I can have it all in its own self-contained thing of Sketchbook 1. Then we get over to Sketchbook 2. I'm also debating on whether or not to change the title to add the actual name of my story in the title. That's a personal thing. If you want to suggest whether or not that's a good idea, you can tell me. But all in all, this is probably going to be a long one, so I need to hurry up and get started. Starting off page 1, which would be 31 at this point, we got off with a whole nother exposition dump. Now, this is the exposition dump that I exclaimed last episode of how alpha angels and beta angels work and how God works. And pretty much, despite the wall of text, it's pretty straightforward. Alpha angels are the ones you can see. Beta angels are the ones you can't see. All the stuff I already said in the previous episode applies. And it's pretty obvious when it comes to God himself, and in this case, Jehovah. If Jehovah dies, if for some reason, if something is apparently strong enough to take out God, everything that God has created will cease to exist. And since God is the progenitor of all creation, that's a bad thing. So I'm emphasizing the fact that God is alive, and the reason why everything is still here is because he is here. So if he leaves, everyone else goes with it. So that's basically all you need to know from this page right here. And just like the last exposition dump page with all the demon stuff, I'm probably going to change it up and probably have it be more in common conversation than just giving it all to you. Then again, this also serves the purpose of the narrator that I said in the first episode, where the narrator himself does this because he feels as though narrators are supposed to do that. The narrator is a character, and we'll find out more about that later. But Jehovah leaves with still an upset expression. Go on to the next page. And then and this page is supposed to emphasize what I said beforehand. If Jehovah is upset, shit's gone down, and so whatever that shit is, we need to either see if we can rectify it so we can get that smile back, or so on and so forth, just to get that benevolent creature to be as benevolent as we believe it to be. And I don't like to admit this, but this is something I have to admit right here, right now. And this is when it comes to writing in general, and people fumble, and this is my fumble. Remember how I think I mentioned this in the first episode, where I stated that you should never start your story out with a flashback, with a flash forward. Like in Boruto, they did a flash forward sequence, and now they have to lead up their story to that sequence again, despite probably having better, cooler, and more interesting ideas that led up to that. I almost went with this in previous iterations of my story and realized how dumb that is because of how my brain works and how things will change. This was me doing that exact thing right here with these two characters of Haneri and Nicole. I mentioned, I think it was Nicole who says it in this page, that keep fighting like the person that I died with. AKA, these are the angels that used to live on Earth and then became angels. But then after a while, I'm probably gonna edit out this page in some way. Because since this is all just rough, it's just gonna be here. So plot holes will be plot holes, and I'll iron those out when I actually get to like a legitimate thing. But yeah, I'm changing it to the fact that they never were alive. They were created in heaven, and not so much on Earth. Then they died and went to heaven and became angels. I came up with a hierarchy system of angels themselves, and I actually based it around My Little Pony, shockingly enough. You have Generation 1 angels, Generation 2 angels, Generation 3 angels, Generation 3.5 angels, and Generation 4 angels. These will be explained way down the line, because this is an idea I came up with, and that makes a lot more sense in how my story structure and how the structure of my universe actually works in general. So at first, I was going with this thing where they were once alive, died, and I had backstories about what they were when they were used to be alive. But I'm like, no, this is a better dynamic to go with. So consider this page like retconned in a sense, in forms of dialogue. So again, take my advice, learn it from me and what I just said. Do not start your stories out or do things without a clear-cut plan that you're gonna actually stick with it, because you're probably going to change your mind and say this is a better idea. And it makes more sense in the overall structure of things later down the line. Again, this is the beginning of my story when I'm just now really starting to change a lot of stuff. So it makes sense to have a few fumbles here and there. And we're going to get to a big fumble later down the line. I think in I think in chapter 2. We're going to get in that way later. But just know that has been retconned in story. I'm going to talk about that later. Man, that's gonna be fun. Next page, we see Satan. Now, Satan, Lord of Hell. You got to see Lucifer, who was the pretty boy, calm guy, who is the strongest person in the room, but is not afraid to allow others to try to come up with their own consensus, and him just being the moderator of the group. But now you have Satan, and Satan is the big boy, hulking red guy with all the horns and shit, being talking loudly. Everything he says is in capital letters because he's always yelling and shit. And so, yeah. So now you see, oh, okay. So not only do we have Lucifer, we have Satan. All right. So I guess in your head you can believe that there's probably a Beelzebub. There's probably just a straight up devil, just devil creature, and so on and so forth, with all the different names that Lucifer has gained throughout the time period in hell. He is torturing an angel, and you find out that an angel has been in hell, and he says, you think you could have, stayed hidden for so long. So you see that there's like a reconnaissance force from heaven. Wow, it's funny to say that for heaven's sake, but you see there are angels coming from heaven to hell to understand what the blade is about, because while God is not doing anything, quote unquote, maybe the angels can find out more about it. The more they know about it, the more of a chance they can do something to stop whatever the hell is going on. Just trying to show that heaven is doing its best to try to fix this problem, but clearly it's not working out. It's not working out for them pretty well. And at first I thought this was going to be a very long thing, but no, we're churning through these. It's not that bad. It's pretty straightforward in forms of how I want to dictate certain things going on. So next page, you get the blast going in, and it's supposed to be my man, angel's about to die moment, and you have Satan himself looking bond. I'm actually pretty proud of this page, to tell you the truth. I tell you the truth, I suck at drawing buff boys and weird eyes. This is not the norm for me, so I was really proud on how this particular page came out. And plus, I wanted to show scale-wise how big the blast is and how powerful and how big Satan is compared to everything else. And also emphasizing the chains. Their chains are still there. Even though you see Satan and you see Lucifer, they still have the general trait of chains. So, next page, nothing much to really talk about here. Now you have I Am. I Am actually comes from something that my father told me when I was growing up and stuff like that. That God is known as the Great I Am. I'm like, that is the stupidest name for him, but hey, it's a name for him. But I thought it would be okay to give it, because it's a weird name for an already powerful character, so it makes sense. So you have Jehovah, and now you have I Am, the Holy One, who also has infinite levels of ability. And you see that he looks, if you look closely, you remember the look of Lucifer, that it looks exactly like Lucifer, except his hair is on the opposite side of what the other eye was. One's covering the right, and this one's covering the left, so on and so forth. As he comes down, you see that it looks like that. Block the attack, save the angel, and then teleports him to safety. Now, you get this: Lucifer, Satan, Jehovah, I Am. Huh, okay. So it's either these are separate people or they're the same person. And when you get to that, we get to this scene, which is next page. The next page is just them shooting the shit, shooting back and forth, being used to be friends, now mortal enemies, trying to talk the other one down about what their choices in life were. And then you see something tearing out of Satan, showing that Lucifer is inside Satan, and trying to emphasize that there are multiple forms of a particular character, and that multiple forms of that particular character will have a different name. Now, this is also important when it comes to what the thing that I do. Whenever I introduce a new character, I have their name and their power level. I did that not because of Dragon Ball, but mostly because I actually like the system of, I guess you can explain it to Dragon Ball, but I mostly did it because of the fact that I just like showing you, hey, this character is this. This character is that. You see the infinite power level, don't fuck with this person. You see this power level, don't fuck with that person. That guy's level 1, probably a human. So on and so forth. And then when you get to the power levels that are unknown, then it's like, how powerful are these creatures and stuff like that. So yes, it is influenced by Dragon Ball. But I wasn't thinking, I guess what I was trying to say is I wasn't thinking of Dragon Ball when doing these power level systems. I guess if that's worth anything. But in the end, Dragon Ball pretty much made this popular, so I can see the subconsciousness of my brain really delving into that one, coming up with the system of, hey, name, also say how powerful they are off the bat without actually doing anything. However, the difference between what I'm doing with this is the fact that you don't know what makes them that powerful. Unless you're God and stuff like that. Of course, you know why he's infinite in power. I mean, if you know any God from any verse, you probably understand that they're probably in the pinnacle of strength and shit like that. But for certain characters, I may show the power level, and that power level can eclipse other characters. But hacks, I guess that's the best way I could put it. Hacks makes everything work out. And the reason why I bring up names and power levels is because multiple people will have different names to their characters. And you can have this character. His name is Ron. He has 500 attack points. And then Ron dons like Daedric armor, and now he's true Ron. And now he's level 5,000,000,002. That's what I mean. The different names will have different power levels, and so depending on the name they're giving themselves and what they have is the power level they will be granted. It's like a whole nother person at that point. And that's like a theme in my series, how people can be other people. So they will get different stats, different personalities, different stuff like that, because we all have different parts of ourselves in our lifetime. And that's, again, stemming from the depression part of me, how I can be happy-go-lucky one day. I'm great John, and then I'm depressed John, who doesn't like anything in life and just wants everything to just shut up for some reason. And that's stupid John. He's level 2. And so that's what I mean. That's where that came from. So after the back and forth with these two is basically supposed to be how I'm trying to humanize, I guess that's the one way to put it, humanize Lucifer / Satan himself, because one of the things that you have to understand when it comes to making a good villain character is you got to make them so that they actually make their motives make sense. It's like Lucifer at this point sees God as just an unruly ruler, and he thinks he can do things better, and he's simply fighting back because they're fighting him, and that sort of thing. People get caught in a crossfire, and the reason why he's wreaking havoc is because these are the creations that do not wish to follow him, and so on and so forth. So he's just simply destroying things that mean nothing to him, just like how God, with his angels, are destroying demons that mean pretty much nothing to him as well, since they have defied his will. They're pretty much on even odds about how they think about each other, and that's why I kind of like the concept of good and evil. What is considered evil can only be considered evil because good exists, and if good exists, that means evil has to exist to understand what good even is. So, okay. On the next page, you get the dramatic reveal that Lucifer and I Am look the same. Only one has horns and the other has the hair on the other side of the other eye. Is simply because Jehovah, as you can see, he had his hair covering one part of his eye, and now I Am has a piece of his hair covering his eye, showing that he has he has an upside down cross eye in the eye that he's covering, showing that he's not trying to show it to other people, but I will let you know that other angels know that he does have that eye in him. It is the other half of Lucifer's abilities. So if Lucifer got both of his eyes back, he will be 100% complete. And it's one of those little what's it called? Foreshadowing, I guess, would be the best, for lack of a better term at this point. Foreshadowing to how Armageddon and things will work out once full pieces of Lucifer. It's kind of like the Tenacious D. Really think about it. Literally, I was not thinking about Tenacious D because I didn't even watch Tenacious D until I think 3 years after I started making these new pages. 3 years after I started making these new pages. So, and then you have in Tenacious D is like the reason why Satan can't come out is because he's not complete. From whence you came, you shall remain until you are complete again, which is worst awesome spell I've heard in a long time. But yeah, it's kind of like that. Since Lucifer is incomplete, he's unable to really dwell out the full extent of his abilities, and plus those chains are stopping him from getting any closer to anything that he could hurt physically. As for Satan hurting angels, it's like angels are in his domain. Once they're in his domain, they can be saved instantaneously by God, like at any point. There's a lot of things going on, and that's gonna get revealed right next 2 pages on how God can't just simply understand everything. And that's pretty much where the big mystery of my verse is supposed to come to fruition. But this page is supposed to show, hey, this is the reason why they look the same, and this is the reason why they have their eyes covered, because they both have a piece of like true power within each of their eyes. Next page. Now, I'm gonna say this out front. This is a revision page. This is a page that was made newly after getting done with chapter 1. When chapter 1 was done, and when I started uploading these pages, I drew new pages to insert into this particular scene. Not many people can notice, but the art style actually has dramatically increased a little bit. Not by much, but it has increased by a little bit. Only because I need to add more context to this scene. And this is my example of me becoming a better writer by the time I got done with chapter 1 of Show Don't Tell. And this is exactly what I mean by the whole exposition jump thing. And I was like, this is what's going to be one of those other moments where I kind of just tell you something. And I don't like that. I don't like that. I found out how bad that is and how easy it is to see at that particular point. So this is my example of Show Don't Tell. You have Lucifer calming down after that big reveal of the eye thing, saying, nope, you're good. You're good. Obviously, you wouldn't be doing this if you didn't have a plan for it. So clearly enough, ha 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 ha. And why are you even here? Oh, so Lord that knows everything. That's weird why you just come down to my domain. We haven't seen you in years. Anyway, hey, World War III starting. Man, how about that shit? And then God's like, okay, I need to know how did you do that? It's like, how did you do that? And he's like, what? How did I do what? What do you mean? Don't you know everything? That's your thing, right? What do you mean? Why are you asking me a question? That means you don't know something. That's odd. That's what I'm trying to get at here. Lucifer is playing up the fact. He's hamming up this entire encounter because he knew it was going to happen. He knew that he finally outsmarted the thing that's supposed to know everything in the universe. He outsmarted that. So he's going to revel in it. He's going to be happy. He's going to have a sly fucking smile on his face almost every single page and make God say, what happened? How did I do this? He's going to make him he's going to take away his perfect card, just like that. And this is that moment. And this is the show don't tell thing. In my first draft of this, you could say, was him with God being calm, collected in this matter, saying this has happened, but I never said once that I was perfect. Other people called me perfect, and I'm like, having God just say that out loud, it's kind of like defeating the point of the image of God now being tarnished thanks to something. We don't know what it is, but it's something. And then it delves deeper and reaches the whole next page where Lucifer's like, say it, ask me. I'll even make it a deal that I'll have to tell you what happened. That's my shtick. I make deals. I will make it a deal. I'll tell you what happened as long as you just asked me what I did. And that's like the biggest moment. And then he asks, how did you elude me? And then boom, he wins. He won that encounter. He won an encounter with God himself, thanks to him using a method that is now new to this verse as a whole. And that is at the last line, I did nothing. And he's saying something that the other guy told him. And if you know Icon in any regard, it's Icon. Icon did this. So that's how I thought it would be a better way to plant the seed of what's going on. And tell me whether or not, if you care enough, tell me whether or not if that is a better way of show don't tell. In my first draft, it's like, yeah, he admits himself he's not perfect. But in this, it's like showing, hey, this is what happens when the bad guy is able to win against something. And he won. He started a war without God's knowing. God would have not, it's just like, what? So in the previous page, it's supposed to be implied that he's disappointed. It's supposed to be implied that he's disappointed, because he is. But I am should have known. Why is that? And I've kind of already explained this. Jehovah and I Am are two separate entities. Jehovah is the benevolent being, and now I will tell you that I Am is the father figure. The figure who's not afraid to put his foot down when he needs to do something, and he knows everything because he wants to try to prevent something if need possible. Jehovah is naive. Jehovah is the laid-back portion of God that does not want to interfere with human life because he believes that human life will not stoop that far. Jehovah is depressed and disappointed in humans going that far. But I Am should have known this was going to happen because he's always thinking. And that's how the different parts work. And then you have a third part of each character being being Satan and Jehovah. Jehovah, I Am, and then the last piece being God. God himself knows literally everything possible. He is the guy that you read about in folklore and fiction of just snapping his fingers, or not even snapping his fingers, literally just thinking of something and it happens. That side of the thing. That's the third part. But I'm trying to slowly but surely show you just how different things are. So Jehovah doesn't know anything, didn't want to know. Now he knew. He's upset. I Am should have known, but he didn't. That's why he's going over to Lucifer to ask why he didn't know, and that's making this scene more and more impactful, showing that Lucifer finally got the one-up. This is showing his one-up on a person that he's been fighting for centuries. So, I'm hoping I did this scene justice by inserting these extra pages to really add to the impact of what it is. And according to some of the comments in my DeviantArt, it happened, so neat. So, next page. Now we get into this, and this is one of the main reasons why I want to continue on past 10 pages. And considering that the pace is growing, it's actually really good. Past 10 pages, because if we ended off on this page, it would be very weird. So this page is supposed to have Cuthala still wondering about the blade. He's been having this thing for years, but this thing is still a mystery to him. It landed here. We built a castle around it. The fog is gone. Everything is basically worse in forms of the good side and better for the forms of the bad side. But if it's one thing that Cuthala doesn't like, is that he doesn't like to not understand something. So why is this blade here? Why did it come from the heavens if the heavens don't want us to win anything? And who made this thing? Why is it here? Why isn't God doing anything about it? Does he want this to happen? Then if he did, why didn't he say he wanted it to happen? He would admit this sort of thing. Yada, 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 yada. This thing is confusing. And then he hears his wife in the background. Okay. And he hears his wife in the background. Wife is coming in. Next page shows wife showing up. And you already see weird things going on with the immediately when you're going down. And it's like he's not having any of this person's shit. And if you read the dialogue and do it with a stark contrast of the dialogue that you heard previous from what Katrina talked like, it's very obvious to see this isn't Katrina. In the previous page, when she's wondering where Judas is, she says she's gonna go and find Judas. She's gonna go and do that. And also, she has a calm demeanor, always willing to respect Cuthala, his space, and understand what he's going through, and understand when is a proper time to interrupt or come into his life. This Katrina clearly walks in and acts as sexual as possible, along with not even talking about what happened with Judas. So Cuthala, without even trying, automatically knows that this is not his wife. And again, another way of showing that I really wanted this relationship to be genuine, of how a husband should know how his wife usually acts. And then you get the reveal that it's Sagi. Sagi, being a Lord of Fraud, of course, one of her abilities is to transform into others. And her transforming into Katrina is something. Now, I also show that Cuthala had many signs to showcase that she was not who she says she was, by her scent, the way she talks, and what she said prior to leaving. So obviously, found out immediately. Now, this is important to know because it is not hard to try to think that fraud demons have the ability to change into other things. Sagi has the ability to change into other people. Now, if you know anything about story structure and how, like, the hierarchy system works whenever we get to a certain villain, that this villain will be using that ability very often. So this is me already planting the seeds on how you can identify if a character is not that character fairly easily. Sagi may be able to turn to anyone, but the personality is very much still her. That's the biggest flaw to changing into another person and not being able to copy their personality. this page all throughout is just supposed to again further emphasize how Sagi apparently has an overabundance to mess with Kuthala, and even Kuthala calling it out. Why do you even care about me that much? I mean, I'm not even that strong, and she admits it's because you're not strong is why I like you. Everyone else is either too strong or not my type, or a chick, because she's into dudes. So, just further pushing that weird demon relationship thing. Next page has Sagi trying to tell Kuthala the twist of the matter, that she is a fraud demon. She once said, "Have fun with your fraud of a wife," and now she's going in and just saying, the reason why I was saying that, the reason I've always been saying it, is because your wife is an angel. You are a demon. We are demons. We are in hell, and your wife, the one you banged to get a child, is an angel. You should know this. And Kuthala is like, you say that all the time, why should I believe you this time? And it's because Sagi is trying to really, really exclaim to Kuthala that she actually likes him, and she wants the best for him, and tries to get him on her side. The reason why we haven't killed her is because, well, you liked her. So we thought you were just having fun. You know, having an angel wife is something, but you know it's wrong, right? Sooner or later, you're just gonna get rid of her, like most demons would in that portion. And this is also me planting the seeds, because I also mentioned this later down the line. A relationship between angel and demons is not new in comparison to anything else. Angels and demons have been doing this sort of thing for a while at this point in time in the story. So it's not necessarily weird for a demon to not accept it, but they understand that most relationships that do have an angel and demon put together usually has the angel / and or demon kill them after a good long while, because it's a relationship that can never really last. It's kind of like that weird. I don't even know what it is, but I know I had it in my brain. Now it just left. But it's a type of system that is always ends in tragedy, basically. Then you get over. Then you have her constantly goading, continuing to goat Kuthala, trying to explain the reasons as to why an angel would go this far with Kuthala. One, he's one of the weakest lords, so he's the easiest to manipulate out of anyone else, and the weakest to manipulate. Two, the blade is very much important. If I've gone over this multiple times, and they have gone over this, it's like the blade is very important. She got to you, so you can get to this, get more information, then sooner or later stop everything, because that's her end goal. Why? And Kuthala's like, why would she start a relationship with me, go that far, just to get to this? And then she's saying the reason why is because how else is she supposed to let your guard down? You ever heard of the long game? The long game is one of the most complex ways to make it so that someone can do what you want. Because once you gain someone's trust, and that takes a while, you can pretty much do anything you want with one or two mishaps if you happen to fuck up. So that's what Sagi's trying to explain to Kuthala, and it seems to look like it's getting to him, and it is. Because if it's one thing Kuthala doesn't like as well, it's also secrecy. Secrecy is really, really detrimental. He likes to be upfront and honest with people. So anyone not being honest with him is disrespectful, and he's a man of respect. Then you have the kissing scene. He gets and then you see he's getting into it. He's believing her. He's even filling her up. Like a lot of things is like, okay, so Kuthala's a bastard, but remember when I said that I like putting the power levels of people, but I also try to make sure that you don't know what the powers are. Well, he seems to be getting into it. Then you get to the next page, he stabs her right through the chest. What I like about Kuthala, his abilities revolve around blood manipulation. He manipulates the blood inside of his body, and his blood is black. And his blood is black. One of his abilities is allowing to summon a sword from his palm outward. And by not showing you that he can already do that, adds to the surprise of the moment. There are certain shows that kind of set up something, and then they use it either a few scenes after to implicate what it does. And for some people, that's good because it's like, hey, you got these things. They are very important. These things can they're special. So use them in special occasions, and then when that special occasion arrives, you see what it does. But you ruin the surprise factor. It's like, oh, he's in a sticky situation. I guess it's time to use that. So it's so for this it's more along the lines of, you don't know what his powers are. You see him doing something that's obscene, and so you think what he's doing is wrong. But then you get to the next page, and then boom, you see that one of his abilities is that. So he was just setting it up. That's just one of his ways. And this is also a dichotomy of what Kuthalla said before, is the reason why he allows Saki to mess with him is because she's too strong to do anything about it. But Kuthalla just sat there and watched this one chick pretty much badmouth his wife all the way to trying to sexually seduce him and nearly succeeding. Yeah, he doesn't care if he gets hurt afterwards. He's gonna straight up stab a bitch and throw her. So yeah, and now we get to the last page, and I'm honestly surprised we got through this relatively quickly. Last page revolves around Kuthalla basically putting his foot down and not having any of Sagi's shit. Saying that and also saying that hey, you're saying that my wife is an angel. That's fucking stupid. 2, you came on to me. I don't like that. I have a wife. And 3, you can fuck with me. You can tear down my walls. You can even blow up my fucking circle. You can tear my head off. You can try and kill me. But once you fuck with my family, I don't give a shit. I'm going to do something about it. And that's what I like about Kuthalla. He's a family guy. And the good kind. Which makes me even happier, because once I got through with this page in particular, I was very proud in my decision to not make him a douchebag. Because, like, this is way more interesting. This is way more interesting than just having him be an asshole and actually going off with the trope of being a horrible parent. So I like Kuthalla for that instance, and development between him, Katrina, and Judas is one of my favorite things to write about. So this is the end of Sketchbook 1, and we're gonna get into Sketchbook 2 next week. And I will say I like Sketchbook 2 a lot more than Sketchbook 1, because we start getting more into other characters that I fully enjoy, and Judas's character as a whole, since he is our main character after all. So when it comes down to everything, Kuthalla, Katrina, Judas, and a lot of the lords, and Jehovah, I Am, Haneri, Nicole, these characters have changed a lot throughout the course of multiple iterations of this story. The first story didn't even have like half of them. I will tell you that the first ever draft with stick figures and everything of the story was about 300 pages or so. 300 pages, beginning, middle, and end of the entire story with stick figures, and it was only set in like one city, and this city kind of it was evolving over time as the thing went down, and then the end of the story happened, and it was like, this could be better, this could be bigger, this could be grander. So I upgraded the city into like at least the rest of the state, to the planet itself, and then that went on to multiple planets, and that went on to Stellar, and that went on to Outerverse, and that just went on to like fucking DC times. Like, it's like, okay, I think I might have went overboard, but as long as I handle it correctly, people will like it. So yeah, these when it comes to the story, there's nothing I would like more to do more often than continue down the line, really. But considering that I don't have a scanner, and my job has been taking a lot of my time, especially when it comes to certain deadlines of certain fights I need to make sure I get done, and also working on Ruby now, it's getting harder and harder to want to have enough inspiration to get back home and spend most of my time with more pages to do. But again, I really want to get done with Chapter 2. Chapter 2 has one of the best endings to me, and I need to get ending 2. I need to get done with Chapter 2. That has to happen. So yeah, next time we're gonna get into Sketchbook 2. Hope you enjoyed this, and hey, since I was able to get through this many pages in frequently way less time than I could in other times I was doing this, definitely gonna give it a shot of doing even more pages than just 10. It really depends on the context of the matter and how much I believe I'm able to talk about on a particular page. It's really gonna decide it. So this is UMB Universe. I'll see you guys next time. Jesus, bye.